First up, track and basketball standout, Daye Kaba. Daye was a two-time All-American high jumper and a three-time conference champion. He placed third in the nation in 1996 after placing sixth in 1994. On the hardwood, Daye was a two-time all-conference forward who led the basketball team in scoring and in blocks. We invite you now to turn your attention to the video board behind me for a very special presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Daye Kaba, forever enshrined into the Binghamton University Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. How good does it feel to be back in Binghamton after all these years? It's hard to believe that 30 years have gone by. I wanted to thank the nominating committee, the coaching staff, in particular Coach Norris, Coach Mike Thompson, Coach John, my friends, my teammates, and all of the people who worked hard to put this event together, and Binghamton University. Also, special thanks to my friend Chip, who made it all the way from Puerto Rico to be here with us today. I would also like to give a special thought to those of us who are no longer here. Coach Dick Baldwin, one of the winningest coaches in NCAA history, and my friend and teammate, Jermaine Jackson, who was also one of the finest human beings that I ever met. Although they've passed on, they remain with us. I wanted to thank my wife, Khadija, and my three children, Lamin, Geneba, Ismail, for their love and support. Hopefully my son, Lamin, will now be convinced that his daddy was not a scrub after all. I also wanted to thank my mother, Jenebu, who's passed on, but was instrumental in starting me in sports and instilling me in the values of hard work, integrity, and perseverance. It is a great honor to be inducted in the Hall of Fame of Binghamton University, and I am humbled by this honor and privilege. The evolution of Binghamton athletics has been impressive, and as evidenced by the incredible facilities that have been built. And it feels good to know that somehow we were a part of that process. When I was playing here at Binghamton, we didn't have this wonderful hall. And so it's great to see that. So some of you may know that the name of our team used to be the Binghamton Colonials. I've been trying to figure out who came up with that name, Colonials. Who are supposed to be the colony, who are supposed to be the colonizer, who are we colonizing and for what reason? Not sure. I've always been baffled by that. I think the name Binghamton Bearcats rings better. And I do think that if you had the name Binghamton Bearcats, I might have been able to drop one basket and pull one more rebound per game. So kudos for the name change. So I cherish the memories that I hold from this university in terms of friendships, life lessons, and helping me shape into the adult that I've become. And this honor has helped me or caused me to reflect on my athletic journey, which actually started in Germany when I was about 4 or 5 years old. My mother got me into swimming and soccer. It was Germany, so everything was quite regimented. I went to practice several times a week. Swimming lessons, we had games, we had coaching staff. It was a great start to my athletic career. We then moved to the Ivory Coast, which is where I'm originally from, when I was 9 years old. Not much structure there, but a lot of eager kids ready to play. So I was playing around, and I was given the name of Lidbarski after the name of the soccer player from the German team, who was a left-handed at the time. My introduction to basketball and high jump came around 1986 when I attended military school in St. Louis, Senegal. I was about 11 years old at the time, and I suppose it was the first time I could think of myself rightfully as a student athlete. Part of the regiment in military school was going for a 3-mile run every morning at 6 in the morning. And I was also exposed to different sports, including taekwondo, judo, basketball. It was a time that I now look back at with some nostalgia. We had no TV, no internet, no other forms of entertainment. The two options I had was either go play with the friends or go study to be the best in my class. Truth is that I've always been very competitive, whether in athletics or academics. And there was an edifice in our building at the military school called the Honor Board, where the top 3 students of every classroom would be listed every semester. So it was important for all of us to try to get on that board. So it was in Senegal that I was introduced to the game of basketball. There was a guy, a coach named Little John, not the rapper. Petit Jean was his name in French. So he was the first Senegalese Steph Curry. He's the first guy that I saw shoot the jump shot and turn around before it hit the net. So he's one of the reasons I started falling in love with the game of basketball. I was also introduced to the discipline of high jump. So we had a jumping pitch at the back of our dorm, together with the soccer field and the basketball court. So we used to go and play around back there. One day, an instructor came and showed us a technique known as the Fosbury flop, which Mike Thompson here will be very familiar with, which is the technique that is jumping over the bar backwards. So I was intrigued. So I would go in the back there on my own time and try out the technique. I would tie a rope and play around and try it. And one day, I went over the rope and it felt right. It was my aha moment. It felt like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Rocky III movie, when Rocky starts getting the footwork of Apollo Creed. Okay, yeah, well, for those of you who know, that's the aha moment. So if I was able to get it right, and then I remember we had a competition after that, and I was able to jump over a whopping 5'1", which made me the top jumper in my classroom at the time. So I arrived in New York in 1988. My mother was transferred to the United Nations, so she was a diplomat, for those of you who might have guessed that. So shortly after arrival, not speaking a word of English, I went down to the basketball court to test my skill. And I quickly realized that the type of basketball I had practiced in Senegal was different from the one that was practiced in New York City on the New York City playgrounds. That was quite a humbling experience. So I did not get the chance to play high school basketball. Unfortunately, my high school was very academically focused. We didn't really have any sports. So I got my start in terms of getting the fundamentals of the game at the Boys and Girls Club with a coach named Gary Sims, which I've heard, unfortunately, has passed on, who was very dedicated to the youth and getting kids from all the neighborhoods in New York to universities. So he's the one who sort of taught me the initial fundamentals of the sport and got me playing it on the team for the first time. So when I arrived at Binghamton in 1993, I was tall and athletic, but not particularly skilled. My goal was to make the basketball team. At the time, you had a very good basketball team, so I was only able to make the junior varsity team. This was the time when I started getting the fundamentals of the game under the tutelage of the wonderful coaching staff at Binghamton. And I remember sitting on top of the bleacher, watching the senior basketball team play, and they were so great, I was thinking to myself, man, I'll never be able to perform at that level, even be on that team. So first season, I felt as I made good progress. As the season ended, I was getting bored, so I stumbled upon an indoor track practice, and I said, why not do some high jumping? And playing around, I was able to jump over a height that would qualify me for state championships. So that's how I got started with the high jump here. So I wish I could tell my children that I was winning so much at Binghamton that I got sick of winning. The truth is we're losing so much I got sick of losing. But losing and coming to practice every day is what helped forge my character, build the resilience, and realize that through consistency and hard work, we could turn a losing situation into a winning one. Putting up with Coach Norris, or should I say the fiery Irishman, was no easy task. He demanded that we gave our best in and day out, and would get extremely animated when he thought we were doing so. I remember several heated exchanges I had that had me wanting to quit the basketball team. But deep inside me, I knew that he was right and had our best interests at heart. So my experience doing athletics at Binghamton was a hell of a journey. I look back fondly at those times when I got to grow up as a man and an athlete. I remember Coach Norris telling us one day that we should be thankful for the opportunity to participate in athletics because of the life lessons we would learn from my experience, namely dealing with adversity. And that would be something that we would take for the rest of our lives. And I remember when he said that at the time, I thought it was a bunch of rubbish, thinking, oh, okay, another one of those. But thinking back today, actually, looking back, I realized that's one of the biggest takeaways that I've taken from being a student athlete at Binghamton, is to deal with the adversity which is inevitable in all of our lives. I could speak all day about my experience as a student athlete at Binghamton. It truly helped me shape into the man that I've become, and I'm extremely grateful. So thank you again, you all, and thank you, Binghamton.